right. Hey everyone, it's good to see you. I'm glad that we could gather here together this last time. If you would like to grab a bulletin, they're in the back there, and please feel free to stand as we sing. Love is patient, love is kind, love is celebrating joy in every life. Love protects, love relieves, love is persevering in each other's needs. On and on, on and on, we are living in your love. On and on, on and on, love is written in our blood. Holy love, holy love. Love admits when it's wrong. It finds compassion for the weight of what we've done. Love forgives when it's time, giving strength to say the words we cannot find. On and on, we are living in your love. On and on, love is written in our blood. Holy love, holy love. Love receives, love responds. Love believes that we can welcome everyone. Love commits to the light. Love is running from the darkness into life. On and on and on, we are living in your love. On and on and on, love is written in our blood. Holy love, holy love, holy love. Continue to love me with that same love, righteous and unchanging. Continue to love me with that same love, priceless and unfailing. Your love, it reaches to the sky. Your righteousness, a mountain high. How priceless your unending love. Those born both Continue to love me with that same love, righteous and unchanging. Continue to love me with that same love, priceless and unfailing. Your love, it reaches to the sky. Your righteousness, a mountain high. How priceless your unending love. Those born both high and low take cover under your wings. How priceless your unending love. Your love, it reaches to the sky. Your righteousness, a mountain high. How priceless your unending love. Those born both high and low take cover under your wings. How priceless your unending love. How priceless your unending love. How priceless your unending love. In the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world, but give me Jesus. Dark midnight was my cry. Dark midnight was my cry. Dark midnight was my cry. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world, but give me Jesus. And when I am alone, oh, and when I am alone, oh, and when I am alone, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world, but give me Jesus. You can have all this world, but give me God, we cherish this day that we have together.
we're thankful that we can be here together. We've had so much belonging and love and support. And I pray that as we listen to the message today, that we'll feel comfort and just happiness, lightness. We thank you for this. In Jesus' name, amen. Sorry.
Thanks, y'all. It's always so beautiful. I'm going to miss it so much. Good morning, everyone. All right, we have a couple of logistical announcements. Thank you to everyone who has given over the past 9+ years. Planning Center is still active and will continue to be as we figure out the logistics of shutting down the business side of the church. So if you have a recurring donation set up, please manually cancel that unless you would like to continue to give, in which case all financial and physical assets will be donated to a partner nonprofit at the end. So fully within your rights to continue donating. Our website is going to stay active at least through the end of the year, possibly longer, but plan on at least through the end of the year. So if you want to keep listening to our podcast episodes and have a audio-only church service every Sunday, that will also be accessible. And then we're in the process of moving all of the podcasts onto our YouTube channel, which will hopefully be done by the end of the year. We shall see. And then we have a list of anti-racist, LGBTQ plus affirming, fully inclusive spaces in the DFW area available on our website. And along those lines, we have a short intermission ad break from Sean Samuel O'Neill.
I have a feeling she said short on purpose there, because I've preached here before. It wasn't that short. So we want to say thank you for having us this morning. And also, I won't preach, but I will say this very briefly. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus talks about a mustard seed, that the kingdom or the kingdom of God is like someone planting a mustard seed, and even though it's the smallest seed, it grows into this big tree that provides shelter for others. In this case, it's birds that come and find the shelter. And so everyone here, all of the leadership, the lay people, you have planted seeds in one another's lives. And those seeds are going to continue to grow. You're going to continue to carry those seeds with you, and they're going to continue to provide shelter for people. This is a place of radical inclusion and welcome, and that is not going to end. It's just as seeds get spread all over the place, it's going to extend into various places. What are some of those places that you have the option of visiting that I'm connected with? One of them is our home church. So we are going to start meeting in our home again. We had a home church called the Ark, a church for all people and a mission with all creation, which we've continued but had to halt during COVID, and so hadn't been meeting in our house for a while. But on September 11th at 11 a.m., so if you forget, just think 11/11, September 11th at 11 a.m., we will have our first renewed service back in our house. And you'll see a lot of continuity. If you want to come check it out, there'll be continuity with what you experience here. It's usually about 2 or 3 songs. Sometimes we're a cappella, sometimes we'll listen to a CD. We'd love to meet a music minister. I was in prayer and the word Emily kept coming to me. I don't know. I don't think I know an Emily that plays beautiful, absolutely gorgeous music, but that's just a joke. I'm not putting on this. But there'll be continuity in that respect. Y'all have a little bit of liturgy here, where there's call and response, especially at the end of a service, where you'd say, well, I won't say the words because then it signals the end of the service. Yeah, everyone leave. But we have a little bit more than that. My preaching, if you can believe it, is actually very short in our home setting, so about 10 to 15, maybe 20-minute sermon. But it's from 11 a.m. to noon, card stop at noon. And we have cards for you if you'd like to reach out to our email, if you want to get more information. We'd also love to meet with anyone who's possibly interested. No commitments. We're going to meet a few times before that September 11th kind of relaunch, and we'd love to hear what's on your heart and what you would like in a church and ways that we could intentionally carry on the vision of Collective in this new space combined with the ARC. So there's that option. Then Mallory and I are on the preaching team at what is technically a Lutheran church, although Mallory and I are not Lutheran, so don't worry about denominational affiliation. And it meets in a bar, in a pub. It's called Kyrie Pub Church, and it meets at Shaw's Patio Bar and Grill on Magnolia. We'll also provide addresses for that. That's every Sunday at 5 p.m. And so we'll continue with Kyrie as well as doing the morning ARC service. We each preach once a month there. It is a affirming church, anti-racist. Again, lots of continuity with what y'all are doing. Differences musically, Kyrie tries to also reach out to the music community in Fort Worth. So we'll have a local musician come and typically play their own stuff, and sometimes a cover. Seems like Tom Petty is a frequent cover, some Johnny Cash. Yeah. And people will have a beer or non-alcoholic alternative while they're singing, and then there's a 10-minute sermon, communion, and then back to the singing. So it's very, very chill. That's a good way to describe it. Very chill. Sometimes we have people who walk by who end up just coming in and going, hey, what's going on here? So that's an option, Kyrie Pub Church. And then as a ministry of both the ARC and Kyrie, kind of a combined thing, we have Beer and Bible every first and third Wednesday of the month at a small concert venue called Tulips. Part of our connection with them is that one of the owners, Jason, is really interested in creating a sanctuary of the secular, he says, bringing different kinds of music together, and he is very, very interested in creating a safe and welcoming space for LGBTQ people, LGBTQ plus people in particular. So it's been a really cool connection. We do this Beer and Bible first and third Wednesday at 6 p.m. at Tulips. Tulips is the concert venue. It's on St. Louis Avenue, off Vickery in downtown Fort Worth. So those are just three of your options, but as Megan mentioned, there's other churches, wonderful, affirming, inclusive churches that are listed on the website right now. And if you are looking for something beyond the three that we're connected with, you could definitely reach out to me, and I can try and make some connections for you too. We have a connection with a Presbyterian church and some others as well. So, okay, on Facebook, we are ARC Church DFW. ARC Church DFW. And the reason Mallory is pointing that out is the cards that we have, if you'd like a card at the end of service, does not have our Facebook address on there. So ARC Church DFW. So that's almost as long as I preached last time I stood up here. So, sorry. I just wanted to make sure I gave you all the options. And also, thank Collective, thank the leadership here, thank you for stewarding this space so well. Even before I attended this church in that preaching form the other Sunday, the fact y'all existed provided some sense of solidarity with me, that there's other people with a similar vision on their heart. So thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, Sean. And one final plug for the podcast. You can hear Sean's preaching style on collectivechurch.net/podcast.
Again, much shorter than the last time I preached.
And now our final sermon from the wonderful Chris Gibson, who we are so grateful to for all that she has done for us, and we'll miss so much, and we love you.
I love you guys too.
All right.
I think we talked last week about how grief is how we know that we are connected. Grief is how we know that God has intended for us as a social species to have a sense of belonging and to care and to love. I am really, really honored to have been a part of this community for the past 9 years. And who knew that this random kid in a bunch of my classes in seminary would end up starting a church, and somehow I'd move into the area and meet all of you at different times. And Mallory and Shauna haven't gotten to meet you yet, but I'm so glad that you guys are here. I've been thinking and praying for you. I grew up with an understanding of Christianity as an individual relationship with Jesus. We use this phrase, your personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And it's very clear in Scripture that we were meant to experience God as the body, as a group of people, that it was never meant to be about you and your lone connection with God in a closet, but instead this experiencing the love of God as you love each other. Is so much easier to love God if you're not surrounded by other people. It's a little more complicated when you have people with different opinions and different styles of interaction and different, we'll call them idiosyncratic behaviors. But it's as we do that we see different facets of God we could never see from our own individual experience. And I need your individual experience to understand more of who God is. I need your interaction with Jesus to show me more of the redemptive heart of God, right? And that's why we gather together, not because we have to, but because we understand that there's more to God and to the recreative process that's happening to redemption and restoration than what I'm able to have on my own. I need the experiences that you have and the unique lens that you have and the unique ways in which God speaks to you. That is how fullness of life comes about, not how long you've been following Jesus, but how willing you are to walk with others who are doing the same and provide safe space for the world, right? And this has been a place where I have been able to do that in the truest sense. And many of you know my story, coming in a certain way and then having to take time off and then having a place to come back to as I was getting well, right? So, we don't need to talk about whatever emotions are. Listen, too blessed to be stressed, guys. Right? Okay, so anyway, I'm so glad to see all of you. And when I was praying about what we're going to talk about, I felt like I was being pointed to just the very last verse in the Gospel of Matthew. And if you know this context, Jesus has been resurrected, and so Mary goes to the grave, and I love the way it's talked about. This huge stone is rolled away, and then the angel is sitting on top of it. And it's like, and then the angel sat on top of it. And I feel like that's a really funny detail. You know, like he's just sitting there and he's like, can't wait till they come up here and see this. This is going to be so crazy. You know, like just waiting, like, surprise. And you're like, oh, wrong person. Okay. So, you know, but this excitement. And what's great about Mary, you know, who's the first preacher of Jesus' resurrection, because she goes and tells what she sees. So first woman preacher. There you go. Second is going to be, of course, woman at the well. I'm just saying. Let's point that out. But that she runs away, and she's so excited. And the text says that she's filled with joy and afraid. And there's that, again, that mutuality of, you know, where I believe, help my unbelief. I trust, but there's doubt. I am so excited. I'm also terrified. A very normal expression and emotion after encountering the resurrected Jesus, a God who continues to create and is always speaking and working. So after the disciples have had a chance, and it says that some of them doubted, and in this text there's absolutely no negative word about that at all. It's just the reality, right? They doubted. It doesn't mean that they didn't believe the next day. It doesn't mean that in a few weeks they were like, oh, or 30 years later they were like, wow, I get it now. But it was this continued movement as a group that they began to understand the implications of what it meant that the kingdom of God was here and that new creation had come for anyone. So, as Jesus is leaving and gives what we know as the Great Commission, sending them out with this love into all nations, and gives them the word of, kind of a difficult journey of, so you're going to go to all these people, and this is what you're going to say, and you're going to teach them the things that I have taught. And here's the way you're going to be able to do that. I'm going to be with you always, even to the end of this present age. Or common English, I will myself be with you every single day. There's not going to be a moment in which you're engaging in the Great Commission or the loss of a physical daily presence of Jesus, or some of the experience and loss that you've had, that I'm not going to be with you every single day. There's not an encounter of difficulty or a challenge that you're going to face where I'm not going to be with you every single day. The things that I ask of you, the love that I'm inviting you into, these things are not going to be done without me with you continuously every single day until what you know is even over. You will never, ever, ever be alone. This is a very important point for Matthew because the entire Gospel of Matthew is framed in this idea of Jesus being with us. The Gospel of Matthew begins with the angel of the Lord coming to Joseph in a dream and saying, hey, there's going to be this kid born. Mary's going to have him, and you're going to call him Emmanuel. This pronunciation of the name of the Messiah, the long-awaited Messiah, is not God will conquer and destroy your enemies, but Emmanuel, God is with us. Apparently, what humanity most needs in a Messiah and a Savior and a Redeemer is a God who is present. So Matthew tells us the purpose and the presence of God in Jesus, and then ends with that as well. The entire thing is framed in God being with. There are ways in which we want God to act, and ways we would love for God to solve problems, and I would love it if it was God fix us, or God save me from having to go through certain things, or God instantly change me. Maybe a magic wand wouldn't kill you, you know. But God with us. God with us. It makes sense, though, because whenever you talk to someone about their biggest fear, if they're able to get to the under part of something, well, why are you afraid of this relationship ending? Well, because I love this person. But what's under that? Let's keep going. It's because nobody wants to be alone. I think we're deeply afraid of being alone. And, Emily, I was thinking when you were having us sing, Give Me Jesus, that's one of the points. You're talking about the dark of night, and then you're talking about when I am alone. That they're in that darkness, in that place where there doesn't seem to be guidance or light or vision, that's comparable to death, and it's comparable to being alone, right? The story of the lost son, the way that the father frames it is that somehow being lost is worse than death. My son who was dead is alive, and that which was lost is now found. We want to be found. We were created with a very real need for belonging. And when I am alone, Jesus says, I myself am going to be with you. In the Greek, it makes it specific that it's not going to be a presence of some kind of deity, but I myself am going to be with you every single day for the rest of your life. Every day, everywhere, every place. It must be what we most need. And I don't say that in a a cheap, positive patty way, well, it's okay what you went through because God's with you. It's fine, you know. Maybe you forgot. That's okay. Maybe you should memorize the end of, my tweet. But it's not just a statement. We don't have to put it on our cross-stitch pillow list, but somehow God is taking each one of us on a journey for that reality become deeper and deeper. Sean, when you're talking about the mustard seed, I also feel like that's the ideas sometimes that God gives me of you are loved. And I'm like, I feel like it's like the tiniest thing ever. And then as I continue in this way with God, all of a sudden it takes a little bit of root and grows bigger and bigger and bigger and becomes the way in which I interact with the world and see myself and God. And this is that as well. That there are times and it impacts us more when we hear it new that God is with us, where we need it in a different way, where it means something to us, where it means something to someone else, where they need to understand that God is with us. And the amazing part of being a carrier of God's life is that we get to be with people and make the invisible God visible, to remind this world that God is with us. Emmanuel, God present here now. Not just at selective times, right? God present in need, God present when we're so disconnected we don't know whether or not we need anything. And so entering into a new season in which things change, I think it's good for us to know. That was my shoe, so stop. You guys. Entering into a season in which things change. I'm not saying it's a solution, but I will say that I believe God's word for us is that God is with us. And so we then can allow, instead of me telling you what that means, this can be a space in which you allow the divine to show you what that means, that God is with you. What does it mean, God, that you are with me in the midst of this struggle I'm having interpersonally, or with parenting, or with my spouse, or with my job? What does it mean that you're with me in a compulsive behavior and in a consistent challenge, and when I keep choosing things that are harmful to me, and when I can't seem to stop before I say things out of anger? What does it mean that you are with me as I'm trying to move past shame? What does it mean that you're with me as I look for another place and another community with whom I can worship? What does it mean when I'm lost and when I feel alone? We cannot reduce that concept and the name of divine love that came to restore all of humanity, right? I don't know what it means. I know a little bit about what the word with means, right? To be beside, to be for somebody, to be in their corner. What else? What does it mean to be with somebody? To take that space where they know that they're not alone, where they feel that there is someone who's willing to understand them, someone who listens and hears. To be with someone is to be willing to see them without criticism or deciding if their point of view is even valid. To be with someone is maybe just to be in the same room when they're going through the most difficult thing ever. I think a lot about a courtroom scene and someone that's for me being behind me as I'm on trial, or your most difficult places where you need someone. And what do we do when we're in that space for someone else? It's like, how do I fix this, right? And fixing is an incredible strength. I love that God has given us talents and insight and wisdom to be able to take care of things and to focus and to do what needs to be done. But a lot of times fixing, as we learned from Martha, and it's so important to fix and take care of things, but it can take us out of being present, right? So we have a God who's committed to constant presence in the midst of everything, right? Because spirituality is not the avoidance of bad circumstances, but the presence of God in the midst of everything. I want us to know that God and that presence more and more, wherever we are. I'm really sad. But I trust a God who's with us. And I'm so glad I got to love you guys and be loved by you. You have prayed for me when I didn't have words. I want to pass these out. Let's see if your counting was right on. Just take one down, pass it around. And then you can open it. I want you to think about why I gave you that. Why did I give you that? No right or wrong answer.
That feels cool.
It is very cool. It's not for use with white powder, guys, okay? So. Mm-hmm.
Well, I know there's no hole in it, but
You're like, this is a donut. No one eat it. We've got rules. No, So just take a couple minutes. Why did I give that to you?
so we can see each other in ourselves.
Okay, so we can see each other in ourselves. That's good. Why else?
You're not alone with your reflection.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not alone with your reflection. I like that.
As a reminder that you are loved.
As a reminder that you are loved. Yeah. Absolutely. That's good. Why did I give you that?
You're looking at me.
It's not a right or a wrong. It's not a right or a wrong, Emily.
The only thought that came to my mind was a joke. So we can look at how beautiful we are without having to like selfie it.
Okay, that's how the mirror thing started. Was last week I got after the service they were talking about how we don't know how people perceive us, and I'm thinking psychologically, yeah, that's very true. We don't see ourselves as we are, and they're like, no, physically, and I'm like, what? I can't see myself as what? Then what do I look like? So then I got kind of obsessive because they're like, well, you could do this TikTok inverted thing, and like people just lose their minds, and you know it like results in mental breakdowns because you don't look how you thought you looked. And then it's like your face is asymmetrical, and then it was just like a deep hole. Friends at home don't. So I did what anyone would do, and I Googled like best app to see how I really look, you know. And so then I'm in the grocery store. Oh, and you were with me, and I kept taking pictures of. I'm not a selfie taker, but in the grocery store, which is a great private place to do this. And I'm like, you know, and then, you know, it's like 10 o'clock at night. Just kidding, I was with my kid in the grocery store. Don't call peace. It was like 8 p.m. at night. And so I'm taking pictures of myself trying to figure it out, and I finally gave up because I was like, I don't know, and it doesn't matter. Anyway, so what you were thinking about, sorry, why I gave this to you is because, you know, let's not try to do the inverted thing. Let's just do what the mirror says. Wow, I derailed your joke. Cole, why did I give you that?
Well, we did have that conversation. It was interesting. But I think recognizing that even if maybe you don't think of yourself the same way as other people think of you, that that's not necessarily the awful thing that you think it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And what a silly search to try to find out what I really look like. You know? I mean, in a mirror, I'm looking at what I usually think about, which is myself, right? Good reminder, yeah. What about you guys? Why did I give you that?
Signal for help.
A signal for help, yeah. Tom, why did I give you a mirror?
Because we are all God's children, so if you look in a mirror, you're looking at God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, It's really good. Yeah, this is an image of God, even though your reaction is that it's you. Yeah. What are you thinking, Courtney? Oh, you already said yeah. That's good. Brian didn't say anything. That's what you were about to say? That guy right there needs the
Well, you gave it to me.
The
but
only
I
thing
mean,
I
don't
can think
need
of
it. It didn't work. The magic mirror didn't work.
Did you hear what Janice said? She said that I gave it to her to remind her she doesn't need it. And then she said that the magic mirror didn't work. You know, I couldn't wait to hear what you were going to say about this, honestly.
You know when you set yourself up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was like, she's going to have some good ones for me. What did you say, Brian?
I also only could think of a joke.
That's great.
Which was to use it to signal each other across the field.
I think that's great. Okay, but let's just take it as a method of communication. Okay? Chad, what about you?
Keep it simple. I see you, you see me.
Yeah.
See myself.
Yeah.
That's what came to my mind.
Yeah. Being seen, being heard, being known. I think it's great. What about you guys?
Don't forget about yourself.
Yeah.
As you're caring about others, as you're going through the stresses of life.
Yeah.
Don't forget about yourself.
That's great. That's really good.
That's the deep one I thought of, but I also have the joke that one of us has food in our teeth.
Yeah. 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 Nice. Nice. Of course you did.
Something was wrong with my makeup or my hair, right?
Right.
Just in case I'm like checking.
Yeah, I did notice that I drove 2.5 hours and I did not look in the mirror one time today. And Olive, I like, is using it as light, you know, a light reflection. And Megan?
It's also what I was using it as.
Mm-hmm.
Fun with it.
Yeah. That's great, annoying Tom with it. So,
Advice to all the children.
Breakable ones.
Yeah.
what else? Jillian?
For me, it's just being able to see myself in a different way, because it's slightly different angle than I used to.
Mm-hmm.
And to remind myself that I am beautiful.
Yeah.
And that God sees me as
Right.
beautiful. And also it's good to ask for the cats.
Yeah.
They really do think there's another cat when they look out the back door glass. And
That's hilarious. I love it. Mallory, why did I give you
I was
that?
going to say, are you not going to embarrass us because we're new?
No, you're coming.
I figured you'd make your way. Mine was unfortunately also kind of a joke.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of not. You know,
Yeah, tell.
You're finding some wisdom in the joke. So I was thinking.
That turd over there is getting me.
So I was thinking there was like a really old, like 20 years old Ellen DeGeneres stand-up.
Yeah.
Where she talks about the footprint story.
Uh-huh.
You know, they're like, well, when it was a really hard time, there was only one set of footprints.
Right.
Jesus goes, well, I was on your back. But I
Yep.
was thinking,
Right.
like, you can like see who's behind you.
Yeah. Well, okay, so,
You know? Yeah.
and it gives us different angles, different perspectives. You know, the ability to see beyond what's right in front of me, too.
Who's around me, yeah.
You know, you can't see your French braid if you're just looking in the mirror, right? There has to be another mirror in the back, you know, or you're relying on other people. But I actually think that's really good and very helpful. Sean?
When I spoke here, I talked about God's love language with me being coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, what's the coincidence? And I'm not exactly sure yet, but I had on Facebook, my friend posted this from the Baal Shem Tov, the
Okay.
founder of Hasidic Judaism,
Yes.
this morning, and I screenshotted it.
Mm-hmm.
I will teach you the way Torah is best taught, not to feel conscious of oneself at all, but to be like a listening ear that hears the world of sound speaking, but does not speak itself at all. And what was interesting for me is after I just gave those announcements about church options,
Mm-hmm.
I quietly said to Mallory, that was too long, wasn't it? She said, yeah. And so it's just, but what's interesting is confronting myself, not speaking,
Mm-hmm.
not having anything to say, just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And so often when I'm in church, it's in a speaking role of some kind.
Yeah, I get
And
that.
so what you're saying about God being with you,
Mm-hmm.
just be silent.
really good. Thank you.
And you know what's cool with a mirror? You can do anything in front of it. It has to do it back. Like if you make the weirdest faces, like it just.
It's so true.
But like, do this back.
Yeah.
And I get to imagine, what is myself?
Yeah.
And then I tell her.
And well, and I think you brought up an imagination element there as well. And did you get to share?
I mean, I tried to make a joke, but
Won't do that again. Oh, not because we won't be meeting
I
again,
will
but
tell you that my first thought was it's reflection or looking into see someone who God loves,
yeah.
which someone kind of already said. So
I love it. I mean, I think it's important. I do. I think it's important. Anyway, do you want to share? Do you want to share?
I mean, what I thought of is that, like, I don't know, I mean, it's like there's another person in the mirror, I guess, so, like, you're not alone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And
Yeah. And, like, you can see God through yourself.
yeah.
You can, like, acknowledge God's presence.
Right. So here's a summary. The reminder of God's presence, the reflection of, the fact that I'm created out of the love and goodness of God, and that was never rescinded. The fact that I'm 100% worthy of love and belonging, and when I look at myself, that can be what I remember, that we choose what we see, we choose what we focus on. We either nurture negativity or we allow reality to be what colors our vision. The different angles, how I am allowed to see, I can use it to see behind me. It doesn't just have to be my face, but it can also be a different way of seeing the world. That I don't necessarily have an accurate view of myself when I look into it, even though we would say it's our most accurate view. There's a reality behind the reality. The way God sees me is a deeper reality than what I can see with my own eyes or experience with my own life, right? And there's the signaling for help. There's the levity. There's the humor. There's the fact that it's a way of understanding God. It's a point of grounding and remembering and remembering, coming back again to what it is to be the created. What Chad said, that I am known, this idea of being heard and seen. So all of those things are incredible, and that I'm not the only one with a mirror, right? Everybody else had one too. That was my goal, at least, for everybody to have one. And friends at home, you're always welcome. I'll mail you one. But why did I give it to you? Who knows? Okay, let's say who doesn't know? You, right? You guys don't know. I don't know either. I was just hoping it would come together. I don't know why some of the things have happened in your life that have happened. I don't know why you've been through certain things. I don't know why you've made some of the decisions. Others, you did not make that decision, and it happened to you. Sometimes you were handed something. Sometimes you chose something, right? I told you to open this. Wasn't your choice. You didn't pick this up somewhere. So I gave you something that you then had to deal with and open and think about, right? So we have these experiences, and I don't necessarily think the point is why we have these experiences as much as what we do with it, since we have it. So a couple things here. Your time at Collective is an experience, and you get to, at different times, allow it to help you reflect, help you see other people, remind you that you are the created, loved ones of God. Help you see different angles, or just reminding that you matter, and all these different things, to look at myself with honesty and compassion, this forward movement. And your experience at Collective is going to mean different things at different times, right? Just in the same way that this mirror meant different things to you guys at different times. I guarantee if you had more time, it would mean different things. But what you did was you stopped with an experience you had and you allowed yourself to just be there and think about it, you know? And that's what we do with this idea of God with us. That's what we can do is open-handed with our experience as collective as we've known it, right? Is to just allow it to be. And at different times, I'm like, wow, I really see love. And at other times, I say, wow, I really see that I, for me, made something about myself, you know. So however long you've been here, however long people have been with us in a million different ways, whether it's like me, the random person who ended up finding home here, even though I live far away, or people who've been with us online, or those of you who've been here since the beginning, or those of you who are coming beside us. Is we all belong, and it looks different at different times. But it's the most real thing, just in the same way that God is with us. The experiences you've had are real, and at times they may hurt, and at times they may bring hope, right? Do you want to come up and... I think it's just going to get blubbery and awkward.
I'm going to try to do this without crying.
Mm-hmm.
Communion or now? Yes, just a minute. Oh, okay. To do this without crying. I know that I didn't start Collective. We came along kind of somewhere in the middle, and Megan and I inherited it. And I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to do this. This is the first place that I've ever felt like I belonged, where I felt like I could be me, all of me. This is where I met a God who didn't require anything of me, but a God who just loved me because he created me, and there were no qualifications. And I realized that I was allowed to be me, all of me. That there wasn't something wrong with me, there wasn't something I need to fix. Where I was able to let go of burdens that I've carried my entire life. And I'm so thankful for each and every one of you. You've walked with our family through some of the hardest things that we probably will face. This included. And I'm so thankful for each and every one of you and how you've participated in Collective over the years. And I'm going to miss this space, and I'm going to miss all of you. But I'm so thankful for the opportunities that I've gotten here, and that I got to meet each and every one of you. And before we start communion, I want you to remember that wherever you end up, whatever you encounter along the way, the table where Jesus is seated, you are welcome, you are loved, and it is open. No matter what anybody tells you, that is the Jesus I know, that is the Jesus I've met here. Please take that Jesus with you wherever you end up, and don't settle for anything less.
Mad rush to the table.
The goodness of the Lord is the kindness of the Lord. With every breath we take, the gift of life and grace. The power of the Lord is the meekness of the Lord, who bore humanity with brave humility. Let your mercy flow hands and feet of those who serve in need of the broken and ashamed. Bless the weary soul, the Lord will make us whole. God, speak peace to those afraid. May the words we speak build a bridge for peace. Your loving kindness shows the way. Open up our doors, giving refuge for all the weary and afraid. Let your mercy flow through us. Your mercy. Let your mercy flow through us. Your mercy.
We live in the continual renewing love of a God who is for us far more than we could ever be for ourselves. And not only created, but creates every day. We're thankful for new mercies. We're thankful for new